Hi, I'm Don from Redrow and welcome to the latest episode of the New Homes podcast. Today I'm at our development in Hulton with Joe Thomas, Regional Director at Urban Civic.
Hello.
Hi Joe. And Kevin Parker, Redrow's Group Master Planner.
Hi Don.
Hi Kevin. Today we're going to be talking about how good development design and placemaking can make a real positive and lasting impact on residents' well-being, health and happiness. Now, Kevin, you're returning to the podcast, so thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me back.
I've just obviously used the term placemaking there. Do you want to just explain to people what that actually means?
Well, at Redrow, we don't just build high quality, beautiful homes. We also strive to deliver a better way to live for our customers. And that means thinking about the whole development, about the place and the community. So about 4 years ago, we developed what we call the Redrow 8, which are our 8 key placemaking principles. And that was informed by what we know our customers want in terms of green space, destinations, the ability to walk and cycle where you want to. So me and my team were involved from an early stage on all our design concepts and layouts, working with the divisions using our Redrow 8 to really make sure we can deliver communities of real quality with a sense of community and a sense of sustainable neighbourhood and the opportunities to deliver sustainable lifestyle if people want to.
And Joe, what does placemaking mean to Urban and Civic?
Well, it's very similar in terms of a shared vision for creating quality places that people choose to come and live in and that respond to and adapt with their ways of working, of course, to be sustainable and to have longevity. So one of the things that categorises an urban and civic development is its long-term view. They are large-scale places. So we're here for often 15, 20 years creating a place. So what's really important about principles is that you're investing in that long-term and you're thinking about how people are going to live, not just today, this year, but also into the future. We want people to choose to live here and stay here and raise their families here and enjoy life.
And a lot of the language you've used there is similar to what Kevin was saying. So from a sort of master planner at Urban and Civic, what's that relationship like with a developer like Redrow?
Well, what's really important is we both said the word quality, which is key. I think when you're expecting people to come and live in a new development and take a kind of a long-term view on a place that is going to be developing as you live there, you have to have a sense of confidence, a sense of comfort that there's going to be the amenities there, that you're going to be able to settle and that it's going to have all the things you need. So working with a developer like Redrow, what we know is the homes are going to be beautiful, they're going to be responsive, that's going to be all fantastic. What we've got to do as Urban and Civic is make sure that what is beyond the front door is equally as high quality. So that's thinking about things like landscape, access to high quality schools, building beautiful schools, amenities, shops, cups of coffee, cafes. All of that is part of our visioning exercise for these places from the very beginning.
So Kevin, a lot of what Joe was saying there sounds very similar to Redrow's principles, and we're at a site here which is quite a large scale. Imagine that's something that's scalable from some of our smaller sites right through to our large garden villages.
Yeah, that's right, Don. So the Redrow 8 apply at our smallest development sizes, which might be 100 houses, right up to our largest developments. For example, Plasdor Garden City in South Wales is 7,000 homes. We're developing that ourselves as lead developers. And that has a series of 4 walkable neighbourhoods with a school in the heart of each one, shops in the heart of each one, so people can walk to day-to-day facilities. It's permeated by amazing green spaces and woodlands, so that all of that's on people's doorsteps. But those principles apply to various different scales. We've got garden villages of around 1,000 houses where we, last month in fact, we opened a new pub at our Woodford Garden village in Cheshire. So we haven't finished building the houses, but we're already delivering important community facilities such as the pub. And on other developments of around 400 to 500, we can deliver successful local centres, maybe a cafe and a bakery and shop. But you're right, those principles are scalable. And even on the very smallest developments, we're still looking to create destinations, so areas to go out and sit or walk or run, maybe an ecology pond or an area of woodland or community orchards like we have here at Hulton, or allotments, anything like that, just to provide destinations and things to do for people when they live there.
And Kevin mentioned there, Joe, about how the pub at Woodford has gone in while we're still building. How important is it at developments like this that infrastructure and amenities go in as the homes are being built and it's not just left till after all the homes are done?
It's really important because what we know about people is that they make an emotional connection to a place, a home, a community, and all of those things mean different things to all of us probably. So what we have to do is think about that, how we immerse people in that quality, in that place from the very beginning. At Holton here, and actually our model on new developments is that we will try and bring forward some sense of local centre, so that we're creating a sense of community before there are any residents here. So here at Holton, we had a cafe and an eatery, a community centre and a visitor centre. We had that in a local centre setting in a courtyard area, and that was built and open ahead of our first residents whilst we were still building homes. That was really important for people coming to look at those homes, because they could feel that, they got a sense of what was coming. But also what was really important for us is that it enabled people from outside of Holton to come and see what it was about. So people were coming to use the cafe, to use the play park, to use those early amenities, even when they weren't living here. And what that does is breaks down barriers that somehow new developments, especially large-scale ones, are not going to bring benefits for neighbouring communities. So it was twofold for us in particular. And then, of course, part of that immersion comes in the maturity of what you put in. So landscaping in particular, what we do is we put in semi-mature and mature trees. We created a pond, some natural play. We really thought about that gateway, that arrival experience. So people coming to live in the first 100 homes here felt the same as people that come in today, who actually are joining a community of nearly 1,000 new homes. So we give that an awful lot of thought in our visioning at Urban and Civic.
So would you agree, Kevin, that sort of early legacy, I guess you could call it, is really important on a development?
Yeah, it's fundamental to great placemaking. So the Woodford pub and restaurant is a good example. So we've built about 500 homes at Woodford of the 1,000, and the pub and restaurant is now open, but it's right at the entrance of the new community. So it's not only walkable for the new residents, but it's walkable for the existing village as well. And as Joe was saying, that creation of a merging of communities from a very early stage is so important, I think, in terms of creating that overall sense of place.
And that leads us really interestingly, I guess, in Joe, into that sort of consultation phase with the existing neighbourhoods and communities around a development like this. What work do Urban and Civic do to, listen to the wants and needs of those people in the area already?
Well, we do extensive work in that area, as you would expect. Large-scale developments in any area require a lot of consultation, because communities are naturally anxious about these big places that are going to be built near to them. So a lot of work goes into working closely with local communities, hearing about their thoughts, their visions, their anxieties, and what have you. And that feeds then part of our early design and how we think about early infrastructure. Early infrastructure is a key part of how we deliver sites, and that's twofold, because that's clearly great for people coming to live here, because they see that the assurance that a place is going to be developed out. But for neighbouring communities, it's also a signal that we're delivering on the promises that we made through that planning process. What we know for neighbouring communities, it's often thinking about things like school places, roads and traffic. And so we've got a very strong story when it comes to those things, because we put those things in very early. We put a link road here at Holton 5 to 7 years ahead of when it would have been delivered, so we accelerated that. We've built schools before the first residents were here. We've brought forward a secondary school recently as well. So all of those things alleviate the pressures on existing communities that they fear would happen through the growth of an area like Holton. So consultation's a key part of that. The Urban and Civic approach as well is that we continue that dialogue. So once we have outline planning permission for a site like this, our dialogue doesn't stop then with those neighbouring communities. The other part, just to mention on that, is that at the outset of these sites, you don't have any existing community like you can see around us today. So it is about what neighbouring communities are thinking. What's really important with these sites is, because they are constantly developing over a period of 10, 15 years, that consultation starts to take place within the community. So you've bought here, you've come to live here, you now become part of shaping the future of it. So just today, actually, we're doing some consultation around our district centre, which is our sort of heart of the community, and there's an exercise taking place with a whole raft of people, including our residents, around what they would like to see there. So it's an evolving long-term process for us, is consultation.
So a lot of that, Kevin, sounds very similar to a couple of the placemaking principles. I'm thinking keeping it local, listen to learn,
Yeah, that's right, Dom. I mean, number one of our Redrow 8 is listen to learn, and that's about listening to what the customers want, what our customers want from the home. And I think to create a successful, happy place, you need to have the top-down, the big picture principles of placemaking and urban design, but also you really need to understand what it is at the moment that people want from the home, how they want to live, where they want to park their car, what type of home they want to live in. And that is a fundamental element of creating a successful, happy place, and one that unfortunately is forgotten sometimes in some of these sort of big picture placemaking principles. So we spend a lot of time listening to customers. We do YouGov surveys, market research. We have the NHBC feedback from existing customers. We're doing 12-month and 24-month surveys of existing customers. And we know from that people are looking for a bit more space, so more garden space. They're looking for more privacy, so ideally a detached home or semi-detached home. They're looking for faster broadband, partly because they're working from home more, so we deliver ultra-fast broadband to every home. And they're also looking for somewhere safe and convenient to park the car, somewhere to charge the electric car. So a lot of our street design is about facilitating all of those elements as part of creating a successful, beautiful and sustainable place.
Yeah. And you've got the feedback from customers, you've got the data from the surveys. Does that match what the government are asking home builders to do?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I think some of these, the big picture, top-down placemaking principles, all of which are great, and we support that idea of walkable communities and bringing nature in and biodiversity net gain. Unfortunately, some of the emphasis on higher density development, so to create higher density places, is at odds with what we're getting in terms of our feedback. We find that generally at the moment, people are looking for a little bit more space, a little bit more privacy, and that there is an increase in demand for detached homes and lower density homes in the right location. So in city centres and edge of city locations, you might have higher density developments. In other locations, it's a more balanced approach, so a mix of house types, creating a more vibrant community.
So we've talked about the consultation with the local area, Joe. Once it's all in, and Kevin talked about surveys a few years later, is there a way to quantify the decisions made and the design having a positive impact on residents' lives?
Absolutely, and we're investing in that process now at the outset really of all of our developments. So we've partnered with the Quality of Life Foundation, who are a not-for-profit organisation that are really looking at this issue with house builders about how do we measure quality of life. And there's a whole range of different theme areas that they ask quite extensive questions around, actually not dissimilar to the Redrow 8 principles around quality of life, everything from the home you live in to how you view the environment, to how safe you feel, and etc. So we've just conducted a range of household surveys across Holton, Alconbury Weald, Priors Hall Park, which are our most developed sites at the moment. And then we will revisit that probably every 2 years, where we'll use this baseline to look at how we're moving perspectives and insights and people's views over a period of time. So that will give us a really robust data set on which we can continue to develop our sites. And of course, we get new sites all the time. So we start again on developments like this. So it's really important that you're learning as you go along about what people want. I'm also a big believer, though, in an ongoing dialogue with our community. So whilst this gives us a data set, robust, what actually we do on the ground every day on these developments of ours is we've got community development teams that are working with local residents, looking at things from community involvement, local governance, events, and all the time you're talking to people who live here. So it's a really great way to get to know how people are living, what they think about things. So really when you do these big exercises and these household surveys, hopefully they're telling you what you already know, confirming your assertions. So we really pride ourselves on the investment we make into ongoing community development and dialogue.
So talking now, Joe, about Holton specifically, can you give us a sense of the scale of the development and what the main features are that you really like?
So it's a 6,200 home development when complete. So we've got around 1,000 homes built and occupied now. The first most established area has its own local centre, which has a cafe and an eatery. It has a children's nursery, it has a co-op, it has a community centre, it has a co-working space. We have a primary school, a secondary school, and we have oodles of green space all around us, which was built ahead of residents. So we've got some very mature walkways, cycleways, incidental green spaces, formal play parks. So there's so much already here. that people are very happy in this community, and we're really pleased about that. But it's an ongoing process. So I've already mentioned that we're doing consultation today for a future district centre. We've got a lot more housing to build with yourselves and other house builders. So it's an ongoing process, and we are learning as we go and working with our community to make sure that they shape and influence. And that is something quite unique that you get from coming to live in a community like this, is if you are community minded, if you do want to kind of get involved, then there's lots of influence that you can have about how your life shapes up in a place like this.
And Kevin, what about you? What is it that you love about this development?
Well, quite often we're developing sites on our own, developing the placemaking principles and creating a sense of community. But here we're working within Urban Civic's vision for creating a fantastic community in a place. So we're delivering the homes. There'll be about 250 Redrow homes here eventually. We're doing something similar at Oldcombury Weald with Urban Civic, where we've completed 200 homes. We've got another 250 homes to deliver. But there's a lot of crossover and alignment between our principles and what we're looking for our customers and what Urban Civic deliver. So here we have our Redrow homes, and we have these amazing 10-metre trees that have been put in, and together we're creating a place, and that's what it's about.
And finally, from me, Joe, what is it that you think this development really shows in terms of making a positive impact to residents' lives?
It has to be access to and high quality open space and walkways, cycleways, play parks, anything green really. We knew that that was important for people quite early on. So back in 2019, we did some focus groups with our early community to try and get a sense of, why did they choose to come to Halton? What did they like the best? And green spaces were right up there at the top in terms of people's priorities before we had a pandemic. And I think post-pandemic, we all know that has just become more important. We all spent more time in green spaces on our daily exercise. And so, people are giving us fantastic feedback about that. And we have no doubt that is the biggest asset that we have for people coming to look at beautiful homes in what is a beautiful setting.
And how about you, Kevin?
Well, I definitely agree with the green space point. We find 95% of our customers want access to nature and green space. But I think for me, it's the opportunity to live a more sustainable lifestyle. And I think that's one thing that's come out of the pandemic, this idea of the walkable community. So you can leave your electric car charging at home and cycle to school or walk to the shops or go out for a run. But it's that idea of walkability, cyclability, and the viability of cafes, shops, pubs suddenly becomes much more likely because there's more people working from home and at home during the week. So I think that's quite exciting.
Well, thank you both so much for your time. A really interesting chat, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed listening or watching. If you've got any questions for our guests today, or would like us to cover a specific topic in a future episode, then you can get in contact with us at newhomespodcast@redrow.co.uk. Make sure you subscribe to not miss the next episode. We'll see you next time.